Soft, emotional music begins. Picture this. A father stands in the Spanish sun. His eyes glisten with tears he's trying not to shed. His daughter, radiant and white, takes her final steps as a single woman. This isn't just any wedding. This is the wedding of Stella del Carmen Banderas and her father, Antonio Banderas, the man who conquered Hollywood, the man who made millions of hearts race. Today, he's just a dad, overwhelmed, proud, and finally home. Asterisk music swells asterisk, having her wedding in Spain fills me with pride. He whispers to himself. But this moment carries the weight of 65 years. Years of triumph. Years of heartbreak. Years of searching for what truly matters. Let me take you on a journey. A journey through the life of Antonio Banderas. From a small Spanish town to the bright lights of Hollywood. From passionate love affairs to devastating loss. From the heights of fame to the depths of near death. This is his story. Raw, real, and more dramatic than any movie he's ever made. Asterisk. Music transitions to nostalgic Spanish guitar. Asterisk, August 10th, 1960, Málaga, Spain. A boy is born who will one day make the world fall in love with his accent. But Antonio wasn't always destined for stardom. His father, a police officer, his mother, a teacher. They had simple dreams for their son. Safe dreams. Predictable dreams? Young Antonio had other plans. At 14, he broke his foot playing soccer. The doctor's orders, complete rest. Months of it, but boredom. Boredom became his greatest gift. His mother, Dolores, made a decision that would change everything. She enrolled him in a local theater group. I never thought I'd become an actor, Antonio would later recall. I just wanted something to do. That first night on stage, magic happened. The shy boy from Málaga disappeared. In his place stood a performer. Raw, magnetic, unstoppable. Music builds tension, but the road to greatness. It's never smooth. By his 20s, Antonio was performing in underground theaters. Spain was still emerging from Franco's dictatorship. Art was rebellion. Theater was revolution. And Antonio, he was right in the middle of it. Then came Pedro Almodovar. Ijo Baar. A young director with wild visions needed a leading man for Labyrinth of Passion. One look at Antonio, and Almodovar knew. This was his muse. His star. His ticket to changing Spanish cinema forever. Women of the verge of a nervous breakdown followed. Then, Tie Me Up. Tie Me Down. Each film pushed boundaries. Each role revealed new layers of Antonio's talent. But Spain wasn't enough. His dreams were bigger. Much bigger. Music shifts to hopeful, American-style orchestration, 1992. Hollywood beckoned. The Mambo Kings needed a Latin lover. They needed passion incarnate. They needed Antonio Banderas, but crossing over to American cinema. It wasn't just about talent, it was about survival. I didn't speak English, Antonio admitted years later. I learned my lines phonetically. I had no idea what I was saying half the time. Picture it. A Spanish actor on set with some of Hollywood's biggest names, feeling lost, feeling foreign, feeling like an imposter. But Antonio had something Hollywood had never seen before. Authenticity, raw magnetism. The ability to make every woman in America weak at the knees without saying a word. Romantic music begins, and then came the role that would define him forever. Interview with a Vampire. Desperado. The Mask of Zorro. Suddenly, Antonio Banderas wasn't just an actor. He was a fantasy. Every woman's dream. Every man's competition. But behind the cameras, behind the charm and the success, a real man was falling in love. Melanie Griffith. Blonde, beautiful. Complicated. She was married to Don Johnson when she met Antonio on the set of Too Much in 1995. Sparks flew. Hearts broke. Lives changed forever. I fell in love with her. The moment I saw her, Antonio would confess. It wasn't supposed to happen. But love doesn't follow scripts. Melanie left Don. Antonio left his first wife, Annalisa. Two families shattered. Two hearts united. Hollywood loves a scandal. And this one had everything. Asterisk wedding bells. Then music becomes bittersweet. Asterisk May 14, 1996. They married in London. The world watched. The tabloids exploded. Here was Hollywood's new power couple. Beautiful. Passionate. Seemingly unstoppable. 9 months later, their miracle arrived. Stella del Carmen Banderas. When I held her for the first time, Antonio's voice cracks even today. Everything changed. Every role I'd played, every award I'd won. None of it mattered anymore. I was just a father. Tender, paternal music, but being a Hollywood dad. It's harder than any action sequence. The paparazzi followed them everywhere. Stella couldn't play in a park without cameras clicking. She couldn't have a normal childhood. The price of fame. Sometimes it's paid by the innocent. Antonio made a choice. Family came first. Always, he turned down major roles. Blockbusters that could have made him even richer, even more famous. Instead, he chose projects that kept him close to home, close to Stella, close to what mattered. I realized something, he said during an interview. Money can't buy back time with your daughter. Asterisk music becomes more complex, layering joy with underlying tension. Asterisk the 2000s arrived like a whirlwind. Spy Kids made Antonio a children's hero. Shrek gave him a new generation of fans who loved his voice as Puss in Boots. Success piled upon success, but success in Hollywood. It comes with a price. The constant travel, the pressure, the media attention. Cracks began to show in his marriage to Melanie. She struggled with addiction. He struggled with being away from home. They both struggled with losing themselves in the machinery of fame. Stella watched it all. A little girl trying to understand why mommy and daddy seemed so sad, even when they were smiling for the cameras. Asterisk. Music grows darker. More ominous. Asterisk 2014. The announcement nobody wanted to hear. After 18 years of marriage, we have decided to divorce. The statement was clean, professional, but behind those words, two broken hearts, a confused daughter. A family torn apart by the very success they'd worked so hard to achieve. The media circus began immediately. Who cheated? Who was to blame? What about Stella? Antonio did something remarkable. He stayed silent. No tell-all interviews, no blame games, just dignity and protection of his daughter above all else. Stella is my priority, he said simply. Everything else is noise. Music becomes reflective. The divorce was finalized. Co-custody arrangements made. But Antonio was lost. For the first time in decades, he was alone. The house felt empty. The success felt hollow. What do you do when you have everything and nothing at the same time? Antonio went home, to Spain. To his roots, to himself. Spanish guitar returns, melancholic but hopeful back in Málaga. Something began to heal. Away from Hollywood's demands, Antonio rediscovered who he was before the fame, before the fortune, before the fairy tale that became a nightmare. He started a theater company, returned to his first love, live performance, real audiences, authentic emotion. I needed to remember why I fell in love with acting, he reflected. Not for the money, not for the fame, it's for the pure joy of storytelling. Stella visited regularly. Father and daughter walks on the beaches of his childhood, speaking in Spanish, connecting to their heritage, building new memories on the foundation. Of old wounds, music becomes more urgent. Then came 2017, a moment that changed everything. Antonio was exercising when he felt it. Chest pain, shortness of breath, the world spinning out of control, heart attack at 56. The man who'd played countless action heroes was fighting for his life in a Spanish hospital. Stella rushed to his side. Melanie put aside their differences and flew to Spain. For a moment, the family was united again, united by fear, united by love, united by the terrifying possibility of loss. I saw my whole life flash before me, Antonio later admitted. But all I could think about was Stella. What would happen to her if I didn't make it? Music becomes tender. Hopeful he survived. More. Then survived. He was reborn. The heart attack wasn't just a medical emergency. It was a wake-up call. A reminder that time isn't infinite. That love matters more than legacy. That being present matters more than being perfect. Recovery meant slowing down. It meant choosing projects with heart over projects with huge paychecks. It meant being the father Stella deserved. Not the celebrity father. Just ... Music builds with new energy, and then love found him again. Nicole Kempel, Dutch consultant. Intelligent, grounded, far from the Hollywood spotlight. She didn't care about his fame. She loved the man behind the movies. The father, the survivor, the real Antonio. Nicole saved me, he said. Not from dying, but from forgetting how to live. Stella watched her father transform. The weight lifted from his shoulders. The smile returned to his eyes. She was gaining a stepmother, yes, but more importantly, she was getting her real father back. Wedding music begins softly, which brings us to today. To this moment. To Stella's wedding in Spain, the circle complete. The daughter who grew up between two worlds now choosing to marry in her father's homeland. The father who once lost everything now surrounded by love. The family that was broken now beautifully, imperfectly whole. Having her wedding in Spain fills me with pride, Antonio says, but it's more than pride, it's vindication. Proof that some things matter more than red carpets and box office numbers. Music becomes emotional. Building, think about it. Stella could have married anywhere. Los Angeles, New York, London. She chose Spain. She chose her father's heart. She chose the place where their healing began. As Antonio walks her down the aisle, every step carries history. The scared boy who first stepped on stage. The young man who risked everything for Hollywood dreams. The lover who lost himself in passion. The father who chose family over fame. The survivor who learned what truly matters. The cameras are there, of course. This is still Antonio Banderas. But they're not the focus anymore. The focus is on a father's face, on a daughter's joy, on a family that refused to let fame destroy their love. Asterisk music swells to crescendo. Asterisk. This is what 65 years of life teaches. You. Success isn't measured in movie tickets sold. It's measured in moments like this. In the tears of pride streaming down a father's face. In the trust of a daughter who chooses to celebrate her biggest moment in the place. Her father calls home. Antonio Banderas, the movie star, conquered Hollywood. But Antonio Banderas, the father, he conquered something far more important. He conquered time. He conquered ego. He conquered the distance between who he was and who he wanted to be. Music begins to fade today. As Stella says I do under the Spanish sun, Antonio knows something. He's not just proud of her wedding being in Spain. He's proud of the journey that brought them here. It's the mistakes that taught them. The healing that saved them. The love that endured it all. From Málaga to Hollywood and back again. From passionate young lover to wise father, from near death to new life. This is the real story of Antonio Banderas, not the one on movie screens, but the one written in the heart of a man who learned that the greatest role he'd ever play wasn't Zorro or Puss in Boots. It was simply being Stella's dad. Asterisk final musical note holds, then fades to silence. Asterisk, what do you think? Does Antonio's story inspire you to think about what truly matters in your own life? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the real story behind the headlines, make sure to subscribe to Luminoir for more untold stories of the stars. You thought you knew? End music.